Ba ba da ba 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 ba. That's my Bill Murray making his entrance at the basketball game in Space Jam intro. If you're not familiar,
It's a good one.
if you're not familiar with that, the link will be in the description. It's a great moment from that movie. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever it is where you might be. This is a completely necessary podcast. This is episode 0 of what KevDirect lovingly named Open World Survival. Kev, when you thought of that name for this podcast, what were you thinking about? Because it made me think of something immediately, which is why I loved it. But what is the genesis of that idea?
So our our particular interests, each of us, kind of converge, I would say, in within the realm of video games, and taking taking video games into context of our views and opinions. Um, what 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 is distilled down to is the older millennial take, almost zennial. We're not quite there, but we're close. And so, what do we have to talk about nowadays outside of video games and all that fun stuff we engage in? How terrible the world is and how to survive in it. And so, that combined with your guys's, not so much me, not so much me. I think you guys know that, but I come along for the ride. But your guys' interest in those open world survival games, and we've played them for hours upon hours on end. Uh, that, along with just the juxtaposition of that with the real world, kind of led me to think, that might be a good title, either for an episode or for the podcast itself. And thus, the name was born.
I dug it. I really dug it. You can tell I haven't introed things a lot because I should intro myself as well. I'm domognarigato, or just Domo, or just Dom is fine. No one really ever pronounces domognarigato correctly. And Godpile is here as well. Yeah, we're all in the same age range. And Godpile, if you want to just say what's up.
Hey,
And I really liked the open world survival name because it just made me think of a group of people in the same age range in a barren wasteland where it seems like we don't fit in with like a lot of the content that's out there. Because we're not Gen X, we're not. I don't really feel like a millennial. I think this discussion has been had between us. I don't know how much you guys feel like millennials, but yeah, we fall in that gap where some people say Xenial or Zennial, and
Mm.
yeah, just a lot of our nerd interests are all line, and yeah, we're just out there trying to make it in this digital age and just scraping by. Before we get to any talking points, I want to share a revelation I had the other day, and I want your guys' take on this if you feel like this at times. I don't know how much you guys are on socials. I got off socials recently, but then I had the urge to like create social media. So I don't get on social media to scroll. I usually get on once or twice a day and I post something. And I realize I've become the old person invading Facebook when I was in college. That's what I am now. I'm in
Which
these.
is that's crazy because we were there at the beginning.
Oh man. I remember I
At the
remember
beginning where you had to have a .edu address to sign up.
Yep. I remember being in a Fortran class and these two girls were sitting in front of me and I'm trying to like learn coding. I didn't know coding. And these girls were definitely not trying to code, but they were just like, "Oh my god, did you get one? Oh my god." And I was like, "What are they talking about?" And then I saw Facebook and I was like, "What is this?" And so yeah, we got in at like ground zero of that. And and then years later, it's probably a couple years later, around when I was leaving college, graduating and whatnot, that the influx of parents and grandparents getting on Facebook started, and I was just like, well, this is lame now. I'm the lame parent.
Yeah.
I'm getting into spaces I don't belong in. So that's just a revelation I
Inserting
had.
yourself in. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a humbling realization.
I mean, the come to think of it, though, that seems to be with every new and exciting social media experience. That seems to be the way things go. The way they progress is the young folks uh, jump on it first, and it's cool, and it's fun, and it's vibrant, and it's interesting, and then slowly but surely, there's that creep
Ooh.
wherein the older folks start to take notice at first and keep it at arm's length, but then they get used to it and decide to engage in it themselves. Like there was a time, believe it or not, that Facebook was cool. Okay. As ridiculous as that sounds, as insane as that sounds, it's the truth. I swear, I was there 3,000 years ago when it happened. Cue the Lord of the Rings intro. Um, the but that is how it's progressed, and that's how it's progressed for Facebook, for Instagram. You see so many old people now on TikTok. It's going to happen. It's happening there too, and it seems to be happening at a progressively faster rate. So my question is not what are we engaging with currently? It's what cool thing is coming up, and how are we going to make it as uncool as possible, and how fast?
Yeah, when I realized it, I maybe had like a moment of dread, but then I was kind of like, haha, that's funny. And then I was like, oh, this is why parents stayed on Facebook. There's like a maybe a perverse sense of satisfaction in like making something slightly lame for the youth.
There probably is. There probably is, but at the same time, they're just looking to connect and connect on a level that you know their kids or the youth in their life seem to be really engaged with, because there does come a point in every person's life, every adult's life, where they are no longer the cool person, and that's got to be tough. And Dom, maybe you want to speak with that, because Dane and I can kind of speak from it from an uncle's perspective, but from a parent's perspective, there was a time where you were just the greatest thing, the coolest person in the world, but eventually, oh boy, that flipped on its head,
Oh yeah, and
and
I've talked to people in my office about this. Like it happens between like I feel like it happens at one day between the ages of 11 and 14 or 15.
mm,
A kid just goes to bed and you're the, you know, their cool parent who they look up to and stuff, and then they wake up and you suck. And like everything you think is cool is not. And they only care about and think like what their peers are into is cool.
mm.
So it's like, yeah, it's like any given day. What's up,
I
Papa?
was I was thinking is how much of it is a peer pressure
Oh
thing, and
yeah.
not even like an intentional peer pressure thing, but like that day at school they met this kid, and this kid said a thing, and then it just I don't know it imprints on the
Yeah.
brain or something.
I remember before my son ever had his first pair of Jordans, he was kind of asking about Jordans. And then all of a sudden he like really wanted Jordans. And so I was just like, "Oh, this came up at school." That was my
Hmm.
intuition. So, yeah, I think It is mostly peer pressure based, I would say. Hmm. I didn't know this was going to be a parenting episode, but I did send out a list of topics uh, I was thinking we could discuss, and I know there's been a little prep work by each of us. We have unlocked some core memories, probably unlocked some thoughts and some memories long forgotten. I know I did. And the first topic I'm going to bring up, I'm shocked how many games I came up with because I would think I thought of like the first two or three and it just kept unlocking more thoughts and I ended up coming up with games for every console I ever owned
Wow.
and some
Wow.
and some consoles I never owned. And that first topic is what is a game that you played and or maybe played a lot and or loved in your childhood that you never seem to hear about? So, and I did mention I avoided big names, games I played a lot and loved that get mentioned on lists all the time are like Metal Gear Solid, Final Fantasy games, the classics, Mario and
Yeah.
Zelda. I'm talking like niche games or maybe just games that in your research you realize you remember fondly, but maybe you also now realize as an adult they weren't good. And I'd like to I'd like to kick it off. I don't know how far back you guys went. I don't know if you guys, because you're both a couple years older than me. I don't know if you went as far back as any Atari system, but I did go back as far as the first console I ever had, the Nintendo Entertainment System. And
Okay.
the first game when I thought of this topic that came to mind was a game called Rygar. Have either of you ever heard of and or played Rygar? That's a loud silence.
Not this guy.
I
Not
don't.
this guy. No. What the hell is Rygar?
It
Uh,
sounds vaguely familiar. I don't think I played it though.
let me I'll share some I'll share something in the Discord so you have something to look at. Um uh
Oh,
yeah.
damn, Dom. What cover? You see this cover art? What?
Oh man, you're gonna have to send me whatever you
Oh,
pulled up. Yeah, I guess I'll put links in this in this episode. But yeah, if you Google Riker, just go ahead and Google it and go to images. This is the cartridge. This is the cartridge I had. This might be the exact cartridge because part of it is ripped off.
Totally remember that cartridge.
But yeah, Rygar, I love this game. This this is like one of
okay.
my
Yeah. Yeah.
earliest memories of playing the Nintendo Entertainment System. But yeah, you're just a dude. It, you got like I saw it described on YouTube as a like a magic yo-yo, and you're just like whipping it out there. And
That's what that is.
I don't think it's actually a magical yo-yo, but um,
I was wondering if the cartridge art. Yeah, is that like a flaming buzzsaw or is it a sealed?
yeah, I didn't know as a kid, and I don't really know now, but I loved this game. Good soundtrack, solid soundtrack. And if you look up videos on YouTube, like pretty well received in the comments of every video I looked at. People like, people were, comparing it to something like Castlevania, but it never got the love. It was an NES game, 8-bit, but you know, comments just make it seem like it's a solid appreciated game by the people who remember it, but I never see this come up anywhere. I never see this on a list. I never see this get mentioned. Um, Same as the next game I'm going to mention. Also on the Nintendo Entertainment System.
Can I?
I'm going to go through my NES games first. We're going to do this
I was looking at
chronologically.
the images of Rygar. I'm I'm seeing there's most of them are side scroll.
Yes. Oh, there is a top, at least like one top
There,
down
yeah, I see a
section.
top down, and I also there's an image of like a somewhat isometric. I mean, I think it's just top down. The way the way they did the buildings, it makes it look kind of isometric. Pretty wild stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Um, uh, I've got two other NES games on here. I think my notes are a mess, but the second one would be POW. Did anyone play or does anyone remember the game?
Man, what game was?
POW.
I feel like
It
I
sounds
don't. Yeah,
familiar.
I don't think I played it, but
It
I feel like I can picture the box art once again.
is
Definitely
that
in researching.
SNK. Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah,
Okay.
SNK definitely. In researching this one, doesn't seem like people liked how it played, and I don't remember a lot of the content I watched, so I probably didn't get very far in POW.
It looks like a Double Dragon slash Contra
Oh,
type deal.
Oh, like I immediately thought it looked good because of Double Dragon Contra.
that was I was gonna say that was the third NES title. I feel like I don't hear about Double Dragon. I feel like I don't see Double Dragon on stuff, but maybe
Yeah,
I'm just watching the wrong stuff. Maybe I'm missing it. But you both just mentioned Double Dragon, and that was on my list as well. Those are my three NES games: Rygar, POW, and Double Dragon.
Hmm.
Maybe I'm
I do,
maybe I'm missing Double Dragon content, but I just on a great NES games list, I don't see Double Dragon. So
I would think it
Yeah.
would get included sometimes. I don't know. I guess just me and I feel like all my friends, like everyone, had Double Dragon.
right, I remember playing that at my
Hmm.
babysitter's house. I never owned Double Dragon, but I remember playing that at a babysitter's
I
house.
I owned it late.
Okay.
Like I didn't get it early on. Yeah, I played it at a friend's house or something. But many years later, I finally ended up with it, and it's I mean solid. I think it's probably still fun to play.
Dang, was there a Rygar on PS2 game? Dang, I don't remember this at all. Oh man, did it get a sequel or a remake on PlayStation 2? That's crazy. Anyway, I don't know. Do you guys have any NES titles?
I do.
Okay, I'm excited. Like I want
Um,
to know if you're gonna. I thought people would have heard of Rygar or POW. I'm excited to see if I even know the games you mentioned.
I think you'll know a couple of mine just because I feel like I've talked about them before.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I'll go with the weird one first. That I've never heard or seen anyone ever talk about. Wizards and Warriors. If you just
Okay.
NES, Wizards and Warriors. There are some other games with that subtitle, but this one was just straight up Wizards and Warriors, and it is a clunky.
Oh,
You know,
wow.
I never got very far in it. It had levels that were kind of platformer y, but since it's all just 2D side scroller, you couldn't even really
Oh,
tell which things you could jump on.
is this the one
It
where
was
if you lose your suit of armor, you're running around in your underwear?
no.
Because that
That's Ghouls and
game,
Ghost.
Ghouls
Yeah,
and
that's
Ghosts,
cool.
that gets mentioned
Yeah.
on like hardest games of all time
Yeah.
lists all the time.
Yeah, this one I definitely never got very far in. I would play it in very short bursts because I'd get so frustrated, and then I'd go play something else. But I would always come back to this game. There's something about it that it really annoyed me, but I kind of like. There's something about the movement I kind of like.
Hmm.
Like it felt good, but I just couldn't ever get far. Um, but that's just one I don't know if I've ever known someone else who had this game.
Uh, I have not seen this one.
Also, the cartridge, the box art, I don't. think mine look like that.
That
So it kind of makes me wonder that I have some kind of weird knockoff or something. I mean, the game screenshots. That's the game.
mm,
But
Mhm.
that box art, the cartridge art doesn't ring a bell for me.
yeah, yes. Share those image links with me so I know exactly the ones you're talking about.
Well, the ones with all the tree stumps of different heights.
Yeah, yeah.
That's definitely correct. The one where he's like fighting the skull, the big skull. That's correct. That the main screen, not the one that says secrets revealed. That's kind of, I don't know, someone else has made that, but the other one with like the gold knight in the middle and the two a blue guy on each side. That was the when you first loaded it up. But yeah, this one, I do wonder if I were to go back and play this. I mean, we were just home for Thanksgiving. I should
Oh,
have dug around because Dylan's, organized and kept like pretty much all of our games ever are still at the
wow.
house.
Dang, I'm
So
so jealous, man. I have
Good man.
I have no idea what my parents did with anything after a certain
yeah,
point.
yeah. Our
Dang.
collection only grew
Oh, that's so awesome.
because of like my dad. Sometimes he do work on a job or something, and some homeowners like getting rid of stuff
Oh,
or I think one time, how we got our Nintendo 64 and a whole bunch of games and stuff was because some guy couldn't pay the full amount, and so he threw in all the 64 stuff.
you've told
And
that
so,
story. I've heard this story.
yeah, that's how like we got like all that Nintendo 64 stuff. So like our collection, even though the Nintendo 64 was already long gone, I don't remember what was out at that time. PS2, definitely PS1, maybe even PS2, but yeah, the game collection has only grown over the years, and so there's games in there that like I haven't even played, that are upstairs
Wow, it seems
in
like
our
there
house.
were sequels to this game as well. Dang. But yeah, I've never heard of it. You got more NES? Kev, you
I
got
do, and
NES?
the other ones, the other two, I think I have about two more, are ones I have talked about, and so you probably will be familiar. Twin Cobra
Twin
was
Cobra. Was this
a
a boat
helicopter
racing
game.
game?
No, helicopter.
Helicopter. Oh.
Yeah,
It did
yeah.
start with like a water stage, or maybe the second stage is a water stage. Um, but this one freaking rules. It's very similar to the other games of its type. What, like 1943? Is that what that other one was called? That arcade game. Um,
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, it's very similar, same vein. And music. The the music for the first couple of levels freaking rules. It's probably one of my favorite NES songs.
That reminded me of a game I also played on NES called Cobra Triangle. It is not one of my favorites. I hated it. You're in a speedboat. But yeah,
That sucks.
Cobra Triangle shout out.
Yeah, don't think I've ever played that. I can't think of ever playing an old boating game. Also, like PS1 of one of the initial games that came out, like some kind of like jet ski game or something.
Jet
Like,
Moto.
it's
Oh, I remember
like one of
Jet
the only
Moto.
boating things I can think of.
I remember Jet Moto. Yep. And you had one more on NES?
Yeah, the last one is it's probably most famous because no one knows how to say the name of it. Xexyz.
Ooh.
What?
Say it again.
Xexyz. Xexyz is how I pronounced it.
Oh, in Japan, it is known as Kame no Ongaishi. Urajima Densetsu.
That might be easier. Yeah.
Yeah, so in my researching for these games, I found out, a few of the games that I was into, they're just ports of
Right. Right.
sometimes not even of like a Japanese game. There's an SNES game that's kind of an honorable mention on my list, and I think it's a port of just a different American game, which is weird. But yeah, I never knew it was a port at all. This one was cool. Um, the different like gun kind of abilities were really fun and cool. It was also in that vein of how level to level. Sometimes you're a guy, just running around. Sometimes you're in a ship flying around.
Hmm.
Uh, it was just that NES thing that would happen back in the day where just to mix things up, I guess. Uh, level to level, it felt like a completely different game sometimes. This one also has an awesome commercial.
Oh,
I discovered it while researching these. I guess I'll just send you guys
yeah. I want to see. You've
a
hyped this up.
link.
This is a game I've never heard of, but there seems to be an online consensus. There is a Reddit thread called "Zexes does not get the love it deserves." Is this you from 3 years ago on Reddit?
But this and yeah, in looking up these games, I stumbled upon this commercial, and I would have wanted this game as a kid if I had seen it, because
Oh
I don't think I ever
yeah,
saw this.
that animation holds up at the beginning.
Sick. Oh yeah, it
Ooh,
looks
yeah,
so good.
yeah.
Adventure, maze, and shooting stages all in one video game.
Oh man.
Hudson Soft.
Yeah, those are my 3 NES games I put down.
Kev, do you have any NES games or anything else in that time period?
Yeah, no, so I kept my list kind of succinct. Now I this may not qualify, but I don't really see anybody talking about it. I haven't really seen it on any lists. However, a blockbuster summer action movie was made from this IP,
Okay.
and that IP is Rampage.
Oh,
And
okay.
I don't know if you guys have played Rampage, but they made it into a movie. I believe was it Dwayne the Rock Johnson?
It
Did he
was.
star in it?
Yes, he did.
Sounds right.
Okay. Yeah. So in it started in the arcades, but on the NES you got to play as Lizzie the Lizard, and I forget the Kong character's name. But your job as one of these monsters was to climb buildings, snatch people out of their apartments, eat them, and bat helicopters out of the sky, all while causing as much destruction as humanly possible. And it was a good time. It was very simplistic, just in terms of its design and its graphics and its sound design. But it was one of those games that was just a really good time, and I played the dickens out of it.
You had it.
It's oh yeah. I got it for Christmas, and so the it's kind of odd. It's one of those IPs where again, you don't really see it discussed much, but it got several iterations. There's a Nintendo 64 game.
Mm-hmm.
I believe there was a game on the PS2 Xbox era as well, and then it got turned into that blockbuster movie. I'm sure it didn't make any money. I don't think anybody went to see it, but it's one of those oddballs that I had a great time with it as a kid, but just never saw it anywhere. And then lo and behold, boom, it's a movie.
It grossed $428 million worldwide on a budget of
I stand corrected.
on a budget of 100 million. So
Wow, what country loves Rampage? Because I can't imagine.
the international box office was the strong point.
Yeah.
Ooh, yep.
Oh, excuse me.
China?
The budget was 120. The domestic box office was 101. International,
Okay.
327 million international.
I mean, Japan, they like kaijus, but I can't imagine that many people in Japan went to go see it.
I do remember this game. I played this game. I never owned it. I liked it, but yeah,
Mhm.
Same.
I
I
feel like
played it in arcade.
Oh, this is arcade game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I played
Um,
it in
Yeah. Starting the
arcade,
arcades. Yeah.
and then I also remember this got. I don't remember if it was the original that got all the ads in comic books, but I
yeah, I
remember
remember
seeing lots
those.
of comic book ads for Rampage.
So
Hmm.
the the house across the street from my grandparents, those kids had this game, and so I got to play it
Ooh.
some.
Oh, okay.
It's so weird that came up because Godpile, I mentioned to my sister that I thought about those kids across the street because they had such weird. One of them had a very strange name that he went by. So the kids across the street from my grandparents were Bong Bong and Reggie, and
Come
I
on, that's
mentioned
a nickname, right?
gotta be. I mean, they were like my mom. For the swaths of listeners, my mother is Filipino, and I believe these kids, their mother was also Filipino. Dad might have been too. Um, so that totally sounds like it could be a Filipino nickname to me.
Okay, well then, never mind.
Could also be
Well,
a real name,
Reggie.
a given name.
Reggie
Like,
is the nickname. Bong Bong is the real name.
yeah, all I had to do was mention Bong Bong and Reggie to my sister, and she was like, "Oh gosh, yeah, I totally remember that." Just because of the name. But that's where I played Rampage. I did like it. Um,
Yeah, it's
and
in arcades. It never you never got to play it enough
and look at
in
us
arcade.
transitioning like like we've done this before, because I did include an arcade cabinet on my list.
Oh, do
Oh,
tell.
actually,
Did
two
not.
arcade cabinets get a mention. So I think NES is the first video gaming experience I had. And then growing up near a military base, I would go to the commissary and the PX. For anyone not in the know, that is a post exchange on the Marine Corps, on the military base, uh, every weekend with my mom, and she would let me go to the arcade. And Virtua Fighter is a game
Ooh,
that I played in the arcade so much.
yeah.
I remember being a little kid and my chin barely being over the like ledge to work the sticks and the buttons, and uh, playing long enough that like multiple adult military guys cycled through and then left head down, emasculated, losing to a child who was probably not even 7 years old. I would go on little runs, button mashing Virtua Fighter, and then as I got a little older, became a little more sophisticated. I played. Eventually became Virtua Fighter 2, Virtua Fighter 3. The cabinets would change, but I transitioned to Gauntlet Legends. So
Okay.
so
Okay.
these are two arcade cabinets, and I'm not I guess I'm not in the know about what cabinets are like good, but these are two games I never hear about. Virtua Fighter and the Gauntlet series. And I really, Gauntlet Legends, you could put in your initials and save your character, and I would go back to the PX every weekend
Hmm.
solely with the intention to grind my wizard on the arcade cabinet. And
That's
I
cool.
yeah, I got to the point where like I got to like at some level you could stay like a human wizard or become like a wizard but like with the face of like I don't know, a dog, like an Anubis type wizard. And so yeah, I grinded, man. I always wanted to play yellow because like it was a cabinet set up where it's like whichever you know position you took up, you'd be red, blue, yellow, or green. And I always wanted to be the yellow wizard. I grinded and grinded, eventually got my like I don't know animal form, and
Hmm.
I don't know if I ever reached the level cap. But yeah, that was like into the like 11, 12 age that I was still grinding that. So yeah, a couple arcade cabinets. I don't know if you guys have any arcade cabinets on your lists. Um,
Yeah, my arcade history mainly revolves around the well-known ones.
Yeah, like I can't think of
I
but
like I liked
coming
Alien
back to
versus Predator.
Virtua,
What's up?
going back to Virtua Fighter,
Hmm.
that doesn't really seem like a button masher kind of fighter. If I'm remembering, I don't know if the first one was different. But
Um,
it wasn't Virtua Fighter the first one to kind of be like in a 3D space where you could move.
oh yeah, I mean, I say button mashing, but like yeah, I would use the like double forward, double back dash.
Okay.
I would weave to the side. I was trying to like I remember being a little kid and wanting to like go like low high, high low, like throw combos and stuff. But yeah, I felt 10 feet tall just just running through these grown men. And most of the guys who would come in and play in the arcade were in hindsight probably
Yeah.
between 18 and 24.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, like I remember the first memory I have of that is I remember standing there and doing this and my mom just standing behind me. And and then like when we finally left cuz like people stopped playing me and I just had to play the computer. And I made a decent run. Uh there would always be a level in the middle where it's just like, man, this character just is a pain. But yeah, good times. Um, other than arcade cabinets, I also have one Game Boy game, two Sega Genesis games.
Game Boy. I didn't even think of Game
Yeah,
Boy.
let me hit the Game Boy game. I don't know if you guys have anything in that sort of era, but and I said like I'd be shying away from the well-known like greatest of all time types, but it's the Game Boy Zelda game, Link's Awakening.
Okay. Okay.
So, Zelda, just beloved, revered. Uh, what were the two Nintendo titles? Just The Legend of Zelda and then A Link to the Past. Was that the second NES one? But Link's Awakening was the Game Boy game, and it starts you're like shipwrecked, and this is the first game I remember having to like figure out what to do to advance the story. And being a little kid, I was like, I just felt so smart whenever I was probably like, because it wasn't even my Game Boy, it was my sister's Game Boy. She got a Game Boy as a gift for some reason, but she didn't want a Game Boy, so I played the Game Boy. The other game I remember playing,
Okay.
which gave me
Yeah.
so much anxiety and I don't love, is Tom and Jerry. But and if you're wondering, before we started, and I said there's game content for just about anything on YouTube, there's game capture of Tom and Jerry on YouTube. So, um, but yeah, like, you know, trying to figure out what to do to progress and stuff like that. Like, oh, this I gotta find something to turn into dust to sprinkle on this guy so he'll sneeze and change back into a human. I just remember like maybe that's my first experience with like an RPG style of game.
I mean, you've got me looking at Game Boy games now. 'Cause I had a Game Boy,
Okay, okay. I mean,
and I'm like, I know I had a bunch of. Well, I didn't even have a bunch. I know the games I
Well,
had were like bad games, and so it's yeah. I'm like, there had to have been one that I liked because almost all of them fall into the category of unknown to most people.
right.
But looking at both like top Game Boy games, and then looking at an underrated list of underrated Game Boy games. I have none of these. What games? I had, other than Tetris, I just had the worst Game Boy games because I can't even find them on a list anywhere.
Did you ever play Tom and Jerry?
I did not. I think I've heard about a Tom and Jerry game being super difficult, impossible. I don't remember if it was a Game Boy one though.
Yeah, I mean, in my experience, the games that I had and played on the Game Boy were sort of you could consider at least in the mainstream, if not considered, the best of the best. And they were mainly the first party Nintendo titles. And what comes to mind, is the Super Mario Land, Tetris, the Wario. Is it Wario Land, I believe?
Oh
Um,
yeah, I had Wario Land. Yeah.
and so yeah, that one I definitely, again as a child, definitely glued to that screen. Especially with when Pokemon came out a little later, I wouldn't necessarily classify that as a childhood game or a kid game in the sense that when I was quote unquote little, um, but yeah, and with where the Game Boy is concerned, nothing too out of the mainstream for me.
Hmm. Um, the next the next couple, I'm gonna jump. I did not have a Super Nintendo. I never owned one.
Mm.
Never owned a Nintendo 64 either. I was a Sega kid. So
I wanted Sega. Sega looks so cool,
yeah,
It
but
had blast processing.
I was getting in trouble in school because I had a Sega Genesis.
man, that's another thing. Being a comic book kid, there were so many Sega ads in comic
Oh,
Oh
books
yeah,
for
yeah.
Sega games, and I was always wishing I had a Sega. I never had any Sega product ever.
oof.
I remember
Uh,
my cousins had a Game Gear. Man, that was cool.
oh, dude, I wanted a Game Gear so bad. I remember pitching it to my mom. I'm like, it's like a Game Boy, but it's cool. um, but the two games from the Genesis, one of these games gave me the thought of this talking point, and that is Troy Aikman football. And
Okay.
if you go
Yeah.
look up Troy Aikman football on YouTube and you read the comments, people people are not complimentary of Troy Aikman football. And I guess just the rose-colored glasses of childhood and nostalgia and playing this game with my dad. I have such fond memories of Troy Aikman football, but apparently it is a steaming dog turd. It does not play well. It the physics are horrific. Um, and I guess it was kind of just a NFL licensed version of something else where they could slap on NFL the NFL logos and teams and Troy Aikman's name. But I guess it was some other game prior to that. But Troy Aikman football and WWF Royal Rumble. Another game
Love those games.
oh man, I played so much WWF Royal Rumble on Sega Genesis, and when I wouldn't win the Royal Rumble, I was furious. That was like that is my first experience with battle royale style gaming was being the first entrant into the Royal Rumble on WWF Royal Rumble on the Sega Genesis and winning the Royal Rumble. And I love those two games. So I'm not gonna go back and play Troy Aikman football. Anyone, you know, describe it as you remember it, but as I remember it, it was just like peak football content for me. So, Godpile, you didn't have a Sega Kev, do you have any Sega titles or N64 or excuse me, Super Nintendo titles? Something in that era.
I definitely have Super Nintendo titles, but
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm excited for
Now,
these because I never had a Super. I have like no skin in that game.
so I have two for the Super Nintendo. My cousins had the Genesis. I had the Super Nintendo.
Ooh,
Um,
are they in prison now?
they're bad to the bone. I when they were in high school, they dated the girls that smoked.
Ooh.
The the two for the Super Nintendo. One, my first one is kind of an oddball. I never hear anybody talk about it. It's never on any lists. The reason I got it is because um, it was it was the beginning of the month, and I know that my mom got paid, right? And we were in a Toys R Us, I believe, buying a gift uh, for for one of my cousins because it was their birthday. We were in there buying for them, and I saw a Super Nintendo game for, you won't believe this, guys, $20.
Ooh.
Holy shit. Okay. I mean,
That's when
that
a
is like
20 had some
finding
buying power.
exactly. That's like striking gold. We struck oil, boys.
Barely
We're
get a
going to the
combo
moon.
meal for $20 nowadays.
You're not wrong.
I sound so old. Let me go drink my Ensure.
But this game was for $20, and I begged my mom, please, 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 please. And I guess, she was feeling either worn down or generous, and she ended up buying it, right? And that game is Bill Lambier's Combat Basketball.
Oh, okay. I've heard of this game. I've heard of this game.
This game was wild. Now, Bill Lambier, and I'm not really an NBA guy, I'm more of an NFL guy. But Bill Lambier played on the Detroit Pistons when the Detroit Pistons were the bad boys of the NBA. They had a physical brand of basketball. They beat the shit out of Michael Jordan's Bulls for years on end before they finally started to become, the dominant team in the NBA. And so Bill Lambier was definitely one of the bad boys. He definitely owned a Genesis. So the premise is absolutely nuts. So, well, actually, nowadays it might not be nuts at all, but back then it was just nuts. The premise was, in the future, your sports, all sports are combat sports, including basketball, and all the players are roided out cyborgs. And so you would do this team building through the various teams, and I think there's like 8 or 10 teams. You would do this team building. It had seasons. You would progress through the seasons, and you would build out your team every time you took to the court. It was kind of like a Mario Kart. You got weapons and explosives and
Oh
stuff,
my
and you
god.
could use those against the opposite team. And every time you did, you'd like get money, and then every time you got hit, like you'd lose money. So if you won your game, you typically would have more money than you lose, and you'd use that money to like buy better players or upgrade your current players, with the goal being that you eventually earn enough to go get Bill Lambier himself, and he was just like nigh invincible. And it was so odd because it was top down. The graphics and the sound and the music were all very, very low key, low budget. But it had an addictive gameplay to it that just kept me tied to it for days and months and years on end. And it's one of those now, Dom, you said you've at least heard of it, but I
Yes.
mean, it seems like one of those obscure games where you're the first person I've ever talked to that said they've at least heard of it, let alone owned it. Um,
Man.
and so, yeah, any history in playing it, or have you just
No.
heard of it?
No, I never had a Super Nintendo. Never encountered this game at any friends' houses who had a Super Nintendo.
Hmm.
It sounds like this was they were like, "Oh man, that Genesis is so cool. We need to be cool." Because the way you describe it, it makes me think of, I don't know if you remember the TV show Mutant League, but
Oh yeah,
there
yeah.
was a video game for Mutant League. And yeah, this
You had
sounds,
Mutant League football and Mutant League hockey.
yep. Yeah, this sounds
Yep.
wild.
And so if you look it up online, you'll see it's nothing special, but the premise was kind of crazy for the time, and the gameplay, as basic as it was pretty addictive. The other one is kind of on the opposite side of the spectrum. This was a licensed game that a very well-known license from a very well-known publisher, and the game I thought was great, but it never makes any lists, or or if it is on the list, it's like towards the bottom. But I thought it was absolutely fantastic. I played that ever living dog shit out of this game. And that game is X-Men Mutant Apocalypse from our friends over at Capcom.
Okay.
And it was and what was great was it had that Capcom side-scrolling beat 'em up gameplay with the mutant powers and the Street Fighter controls. So you could have Wolverine and Cyclops do the Dragon Punch. Everybody had their own special combos. It was cool. You got Wolverine, Cyclops, Psylocke, Beast, and Gambit. And the structure of the game was cool because it was kind of like a Mega Man game, wherein when you started, each individual hero had their own level. And then after you beat that level, of which it would be broken up into a series of stages, then the world would quote unquote kind of open up like a Mega Man game. You could do missions in any order you wanted with any of the heroes. And then ultimately it progressed to battling Apocalypse himself. And then, of course, Magneto has to come in and he's actually the big bad. But it had great gameplay. The Street Fighter special move controls were great because I was a Capcom kid, so I played a lot of Street Fighter. And it really kind of blended in that Capcom aesthetic and gameplay with the X-Men show vibe. And it just worked. It just worked. And so a great, single player game. And again, it's received its accolades, but I never see it really brought up in like the best SNES games, excuse me. But it's one that I just play the hell out of and enjoy the hell out of.
Sounds like a better version of the X-Men game I played on the Genesis.
I love those as well.
Yeah. The Sega, that didn't make my list. But I did own that game, the X-Men game on Sega Genesis.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had this one. I don't think I got it when it was new. I think I got it when it was kind of old, and it always annoyed me. Can't remember exactly which character, which stages were the ones where I would always have a hiccup on, but I definitely never beat it. I don't even know how far I got in it. But looked great. The characters, like the animation and all that was awesome. I believe this was the game where you could pause it and you could see Psylocke's butt, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I remember that. Yeah, cool game. And as far as Bill Lambiers goes, I think Video City had that game.
No joke.
And I would never rent it, so I never actually played it. And I would never rent it because I wasn't into basketball. So I just never. I remember always looking at it because Video City did not have that many games. And I feel like I would look at it and just be like, nah, I don't like basketball.
Well, if you watch the ad for Bill Lambiers Combat Basketball I just shared, it says it takes place in 2030. So we still have something to look forward to in the next couple years.
Oh no.
So what were your SNES games, Gapo?
Yeah, you could throw razor blades at people or saw blades, I should say.
This just sounds like prison.
You could put explosives on the court.
Cool.
That is great. It was great.
Go foul. All right. My SNES games. Um, let's. I guess let's start with Batman Returns.
Ooh,
Hmm.
Batman Returns. A neighbor had this.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I
It
think
looked cool. It looked cool.
yeah, I can kind of say the same thing like I said with the X-Men game. Looked great. Animation, looked really good. The fighting felt really good.
I
Like
have played
like
this. I have played this at the
okay,
neighbor's house.
real like crunchy, like Batman, like punching and kicking people just felt impactful. Um, yeah, it was just a game I would always come back to. Um, even when I got some other new game, eventually I'd want you know 30 minutes on Batman Returns because
Mm.
it just felt
Was
so
that a
good.
Hudson Soft or Konami?
Ooh, I do not know.
I thought it was Capcom.
I think it's Konami. Looks like
Okay.
it's Konami.
Mm. But
But
yeah, I have played this. Yeah.
yeah, fun game. What does it do? Oh wow, look at the clowns. Yeah, the clown level.
Oh yeah. I'm seeing clowns in a sewer. Is that what you're talking about? Looks like a sewer.
I think it starts up on the street at level, and then you go into the sewer. Chasing penguin. If I
Mm-hmm.
remember correctly. But yeah, that one was fun. Always went back to that. A weird Epo bargain bin game that I found out and kind of researching for this is a port of another game. It's just when they got the Simpsons license, they were
Ooh,
like,
okay.
"Hey, we need to crank out some Simpsons games," and so they just kind of threw on a. I don't even know if you can say like a coat of paint. It seems like they did very little to make it into a Simpsons game. That is Krusky's Super Fun House.
I've
It's
never heard of this.
Never heard of this one.
it's
Cool.
probably the only puzzle game I played. Do you count Tetris as a puzzle game? I guess this and Tetris were probably the only puzzle games I played as a kid, and it wasn't necessarily super fun. Like it was just kind of entertaining, and it did keep me wanting to. I need to get the rats or the mice or whatever they were. I need to get them into the hole.
I see what you're saying about the coat of paint. Bart doesn't look quite right in game. Like on the cover, yeah, but in game, his face looks slightly off to me.
Yeah, but that was like I think the game that they ported. I think all the
Oh wow.
backgrounds. I think everything is exactly the same. They just kind of made like a character here and there into a
Mm-hmm.
Simpsons character. I think like the posters on the walls, they threw those in there to kind of make it like, oh yeah, look, see, this is a Simpsons world.
Yeah. Yeah.
But this was kind of a weird one that for whatever reason I would like come back to it to try and get farther. I probably never beat it. That's a theme that will always come up.
Right.
Um, Next up, I have two sports games, both from the same year. NHL '94 and World Cup USA '94.
Never heard of it.
They're both just generic sports games, but I felt like I had to include them because I put a lot of hours
I had
into these two games.
I had NHL '94 on the Genesis.
Okay.
Yes. I
Yeah.
should have put it on my list. Great game. And
Yeah, I loved both of these games. I don't really have anything to compare them to. I didn't play other hockey games. I didn't play other soccer games.
I
In
don't think
researching this, yeah, go ahead.
I don't think I've played a hockey game that I have liked as much as NHL 94 on the Sega
Yeah,
Genesis
I
since
I
that game.
I agree. Um, was it when the PS2 came out?
Yep, I tried PS2 ones. I
There was a hockey game on
hmm
release,
I got it
and
with
I
the
remember
bundle.
that was
I got it with the bundle.
oh, you got it.
Yeah, because
Ooh.
the PX had bundles and it came with 3 games and the hockey game was one of them. And I was just like, man, this isn't even as good as NHL 94. But yeah, can't believe I forgot NHL 94 on the Genesis and Streets of Rage 3 on the Genesis. You hear about Streets of Rage 2 all the time. I never touched it. I never played that, but I've just remembered NHL 94 now that you say it, and that has unlocked Streets of Rage 3. And maybe it's not as good as Streets of Rage 2, but it's the only one I played. So,
Right. Um, yeah, NHL '94. I remember you could create your own team kind of a thing.
mhm.
Like you create the players on there, and so that kind of kept me coming back because my team was like personalized.
There was
And
also the game within the game you could play, which was just trying to instigate fights, and
oh oh yeah
then it became a one v
oh
one
yeah.
fighter.
Do, do you remember? Did you have a guy on your team that was the best fighter
Oh
that you
man.
that you saw as the enforcer?
I mean,
I
I'm
I had a guy on my team I saw as the enforcer, and I remember his name because most of the guys on my team were like based on like people from like TV shows and stuff.
I remember if I ended up in a fight with a guy that wasn't good at fighting, I was just like, no, I'm gonna lose.
Oh, I'm wondering if my timeline adds up. So I'm like, when did? Okay, yeah, it definitely adds up.
Was that it
So
for
my
your SNES?
the enforcer on my
Hmm.
NHL team was Cosmo Kramer. I don't know if his first name had been revealed yet though, so he might have just been called Kramer. But I do remember that. Well, I just want to say about World Cup USA '94. I had a very difficult time figuring out which soccer game I had that I put so many hours in researching this. It took me a long time. I ended up having to just kind of go year by year. It's just
Hmm.
looking at images and stuff. I couldn't find my game. And so I ended up going year by year, looking at box art, looking at cartridge art, looking at stuff before I actually figured out which game it was. Like this game, I don't see on anyone's list, or not just like best games, underrated games. I even mean like soccer games that existed on SNES. Like it doesn't even get mentioned. So I'm assuming it, was not a popular game. I put a ton of hours into it. It was a game I'd always go back to because I played it so much. I knew exactly where to shoot from. I knew exactly like the little holes in the game that you just 100% always score from these spots kind of a thing. So I'd run up the score against these other teams by just insane amounts, beating teams by like 20 something points kind of a thing. Uh, Played it a ton. Took forever for me to figure out which game it is. And looking at what was most nostalgic and kind of took me back um, was the interface of this game
Oof.
because
Yeah.
it doesn't just say it's not just written but oh, you want to go to this screen, playoffs, exhibition. It doesn't say any of that. Most of the interface for this game are pictures of a dog, a
Wow.
cartoon dog. I don't know if you guys looked it up. Let me see if And
World
I
Cup
had
winning.
completely forgotten about that aspect of the game. And
Oh, that
watching,
this dog. Okay, okay.
yeah, watching like a clip of someone playing it just made my brain like do a somersault. I was like, oh, I remember this. It was like it took me like weeks to
Oh
even
yeah.
like be able to remember, what each of these things meant
Oh yeah,
and
because
to know how to get through these menus.
this World Cup was in the USA, and
Right.
every World Cup has some sort of animal or character mascot that they develop.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, research on this one. I probably spent more time trying to figure this out than everything else combined. And then watching that just 1 minute clip and seeing someone go to the menu, yeah, that just turned my brain upside down. This is
Man,
like, oh my god, I remember as a kid trying to figure out what, like the replay, because you could kind of like fast forward, rewind stuff on replays too, and it's just pictures of the dog,
fast forward and rewind replay capability in a game from 1993?
right? But this game did not have, which I think killed me because of the hockey game. I could actually like make characters,
You're right.
which I mean, you say make characters, but pretty much name characters. This game did not have anything like that.
Hmm.
And
Wow.
so I wanted to like have my own custom team, but you couldn't do that. I don't think you could do that. I don't remember being able to do that. And then my last game for SNES, it does get mentioned here and there, but usually not for gameplay or anything like that. It's because of box art.
Okay.
It has
Okay.
the most nonsensical box art.
Oh,
And I've talked about the game
Wait.
before. It is Phalanx.
yes, I
Ah,
yes.
It's a spaceship game, but the box art is an old man with a banjo.
weirdest damn thing.
Yeah,
And
I've seen this on lists because of the art. Yes.
right. And so I had this game. I really like this game. It's kind of the same vein as Twin Cobra, except it's a side scroller. Um, and also really good music.
Hmm.
Like
Okay.
both Twin Cobra and Phalanx, I think are up there for my favorite like old school video game music.
Hmm. If that's your last SNES, I have some games from various consoles that are all part of sort of the generation of games after Sega and Super Nintendo. So I have a couple games for the Sega Saturn, which
Wow,
Ooh,
not a
ooh,
lot of people
ooh.
owned. I had a Saturn,
that's
and
crazy.
I do have one 64 game. I never had a 64, and then a couple PS2 games. So my two, excuse me, three Sega Saturn games. Uh, Virtua Fighter 2, I mentioned I was into Virtua Fighter in the arcade. I got that for the Sega Saturn. Um, don't have to dwell on that too much, but along in the same sort of vein, Virtua Cop, which I also played in the arcade, but I
Mm-hmm.
played much more on the Saturn. Um,
Did,
in the arcade, you
did you?
played it with the gun. On the
I was
Saturn,
about to ask.
no, I did not have a gun. I played
Oh
it
my
with
god.
controllers. So I was
Ooh,
moving a cursor around with the D-pad. This was
Dang.
this was
ooh.
pre sticks. Um, and then also on the Saturn, Daytona, USA.
Rolling
Oh
Stone.
man, I looked up a video,
Bum,
and
bum, 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 bum.
as soon as it said Rolling Start, I was just like, yes.
Sometimes I will go on YouTube and just break that out and put it on repeat and just jam to that all day long.
I loved putting in the code to get the horse, and then I would race against Yeah, I would race the NASCARs on a horse, or just as a
What?
horse. I don't even think there was a guy on the horse. It was just a horse. But yeah, Virtua Fighter 2 specifically, which is probably the Virtua Fighter I played the most. combining arcade and Sega
I just
Saturn.
looked up the horse.
Yeah, yeah. Virtua Cop got a lot of run in the arcade and on the Saturn, and then Daytona USA. I think I also played that occasionally in the arcade. Um, just to knock out my last couple, all in the same generation of console. On the N64 was a game from your house, Godpile, Pokemon Stadium.
Oh my god.
I had such a good time playing Pokemon Stadium. The party mode where it was like Mario Party but with Pokemon. Oh, loved it. Great time. I never
That's
owned a six.
the
What's up?
first Pokemon game I ever played.
Yeah, I never owned a 64. Never played any other Pokemon games prior to that. Haven't really played any after that either.
Yeah, same. Yeah, I could say that too. Probably only Pokemon game I ever played.
Yeah. And then two PS2 games. By the time I got to PlayStation 2, I was mostly just playing the big names. That's when I got into Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah.
I started playing Final Fantasy games on the first PlayStation. But yeah, by the time I got to PS2, it was a lot of big names. I'm going to mention two games that are kind of from big properties, but don't get love. Um, 007 Agent Under Fire.
Hmm.
So everybody talks about GoldenEye, right? Like that was that the big one on 64, four player playing GoldenEye as
I
odd
mean,
job and just like being too
some
short and having a small hitbox.
some
Uh,
people think GoldenEye is good. I've always been a perfect dark man
oh,
myself.
okay, yeah. Um, Agent Under Fire was the first like multiplayer split screen shooter I played. And I played that at a friend's house. We pooled a couple bucks together to buy a multi-tap specifically so we could
Ooh,
play four player.
sick.
So that was my first experience, sort of like, I mean, if you can even call it quick scoping, just like busting out the sniper rifle and trying to no scope and quick scope people. And I could hit, and they would just be like, "Oh my god, like you killed me in one shot." And people using trip mines and just like my first experience with like toxic PvP shooter.
Mm.
And a game that I think is great, but honestly I feel like gets a lot of hate because it's not what its predecessor was. Chrono Cross. So Chrono Trigger is like revered and adored, and Chrono Cross was the sequel, and because it either wasn't quite as good or wasn't the same or did things differently than Chrono Trigger, I feel like it gets hated on. But I never played Chrono Trigger. I only ever played Chrono Cross. I liked it. I loved it. I enjoyed it. Way too many characters. I can't agree there. It has something like 45 playable characters you can pick up along the way to, and cycle in and out of your party. It's an RPG, but I love Chrono Cross. Uh, I've heard the replay value gets criticized, but I have nothing but fond memories. It's not Chrono Trigger, but I never touched Chrono Trigger. Um, but yeah, I mean, that's what is that like generation three consoles? That era, 64, PS2, Sega Saturn. So
Yeah, I mean,
those are my games from that era.
okay. I
Yeah,
got you, bud. That's
I
a good
didn't really.
list.
Yeah, I didn't go that far. I stopped with SNES,
Hmm.
but um, the fact that you had a Sega Saturn, I didn't think I knew anybody who had a Sega Saturn. Apparently, I know one person who has a Sega Saturn.
So a funny thing
That's
about that,
crazy.
like I mentioned my mom's Filipino. I'm not exaggerating. I'm not embellishing. She grew up on a rice paddy. Okay, She's not technological, never has been. Uh, my dad, rest in peace, God bless him. Also not especially technological. He tried, um, you know, adapting to what he could, sort of end of the century, uh, already being like around getting close to 50 by the time we were getting to like the year 2000. I, when I got a console, I was from a young age, I was pretty much setting that bad boy up myself. Okay. The Sega Saturn had the capability to like save your data like on the system, I believe. And I couldn't understand why it wasn't doing that for me. I was trying to like, you know, save stuff, come back to it later, progress, and I'd always be like, man, it's not saving my stuff. I don't know how long it was after I had it. I was trying to figure out. I was like, man, I'm gonna figure this out. So I opened up like a panel on the back, and I was like, oh, there's a battery in here. There's like a lithium battery accessible through a panel in the back. No one had ever taken out the like plastic divider between
Ooh.
the lithium battery and
Oh.
like the where it connects to. So I like pull out this tiny piece of plastic, like is in, some electronic device you might get nowadays. And I just pulled that out and then after that I could save seasons in different games and I was like, "Oh man, I again, I don't know how long I had this system until I figured that out." And
Oh man.
so I'd be like, I remember there was a football game that I was playing. This was right after, well, not right after. This was soon after, you know, the Carolina Panthers came into being. And so like I was like, oh cool, the Panthers are in this game. I'm gonna play a season as the Panthers, and it wouldn't save my progress. And I'd be like, man, am I supposed to like leave this on? Like, am I supposed to play? Am I supposed to play all 16 games plus playoffs in like one go? Like, I thought we were past this, but yeah, I don't know how long. I don't know how long I had that system before myself as a child around like 11, 12 years old figured out there was something I had to do, something that had to be done in order to save.
Oh man.
But yeah, I don't know if you have any more games, Kev.
um, I have I have one for the Nintendo 64 because if you look at the Nintendo 64 list, the greatest games or whatnot, you're gonna find most of the well-known and even the semi-well-known ones just because it was at the time where they made that miscalculation going from uh, uh, cartridge to CD, and they stuck with the cartridges because they
Mhm.
quote unquote didn't want any load times for their games. And so, thinking back to that, there are a few oddball, obscure ones, but one that's sort of just on the edge of those lists is Ogre Battle 64, and it is in terms of the RPGs, because there are very few RPGs on the Nintendo 64 of any sort of variety, whether that's traditional or otherwise. But it was a strategy RPG, and it excuse me, it's in the Ogre Battle series, which is well known to strategy enjoyers in video games. But it was odd in the sense that you played it on the 64 with the 64 controller, and the the game itself really kind of spoke to me because it was more about setting things up in the strategy and planning phases,
Mm.
and then sort of just releasing it out in the wild, as it were, to for the computer to simulate. And so, it had a lot of deep customization, had strategy that kind of required you to almost sort of think in advance. If I do this, if they do that, what do I do then? That sort of thing. And it just kept me occupied for months and months and months on end.
Screen every time you turn on your Sega Saturn.
Wow. I feel like I remember seeing this in Kmart.
Yeah, I don't. The name doesn't ring a bell. The box art doesn't ring a bell. I don't think I ever crossed this path.
Yeah, I think I saw this in Kmart. But yeah, I've never heard
Again, if
never heard of Ogre Battle, but
oh,
this is like
mhm.
there's some memory in my brain somewhere. Cool.
Yeah. And the Ogre Battle series, very well known in Japan. It's by Enix, which eventually merged with Square to become Square Enix, and
Mm.
I guess the most popular game in the series, which just received the remaster not too long ago, is Tactics Ogre. But yeah, one of those, great game. Just not again, it's either at the end or at the very edge of those greatest games for the Nintendo 64 list.
Cool. Very cool. I was thinking before we wrap this up, just a note I had on here, and some of the things you guys were saying, I feel like we're already alluding to this idea. Um, how did you guys, as children, as youths, how did you acquire games? You know, you mentioned Kev seeing one for 20 bucks at the store. Like, when I say acquire games, it was like, were you buying new titles? Were you renting? You mentioned Video City, Godpile.
Oh yeah.
For me personally, um, like we weren't a renting family. Like, I don't know if
Hmm.
it's because my
Okay.
mom. I don't know if it's because my mom's from another country, but she was like, "No, that's a scam. You pay them money and then you don't get to keep the thing." So we didn't do Blockbuster. Okay, we didn't rent stuff, and like we were kind of like at a time in my earlier childhood, like money was tight, so we weren't buying new titles either. I was a pawn shop kid,
Mm.
and
Oh,
being near a military base, just the transient nature of
oh
residence.
yeah.
Like there was lots of stuff at the pawn shop, lots of decent selection, and so that's why I think that's how I ended up with some of the games I've mentioned, games like POW and Rygar and things like that. Is you know there was a Woodson Woodson over there by the Kmart, and if we were all at the Kmart, I'd be like, "Hey Dad, why don't you take me over to that pawn shop? We look at some games." um, but yeah, I was mostly a pawn shop kid. So I mean, were you know, the only shot I'd have at getting a new title would be if it was on sale somewhere, and you know what kind of games went on sale.
Yeah.
They weren't the
Yeah.
big
I mean,
they weren't the big
so
names. Yeah, you
I think
mentioned
this is
Godpile getting your N64 stuff as payment. So yeah.
right. Yeah. Great question. I hadn't even thought about that. So we were not a pawn shop family, but we definitely were a renting family.
Hmm.
So I definitely rented a lot of games. Video City did not have a great selection though. So a lot of times I was renting the same games over and over. This probably should have gotten a mention on my list. I rented the Stargate game. Uh,
Ooh.
I don't even know, probably half dozen times at least. Because I liked the movie Stargate, but I liked the game too. I thought the game was cool. Um, that one got rented a lot. And then uh, Kmart, bargain bin at Kmart
Yep. The bin.
probably was, and like the reason why I couldn't I couldn't find a single Game Boy game on any list that rung a bell at all is because so many of the games I got were from bargain bins, just these crappy games that didn't sell, like the Krusty game and just so much of that. So my game collection was always very weird. Like, you guys talking about like the big titles, like the Mario games and Zelda games and stuff like that. I never really had those. I have the Mario game that came with the console,
Yeah.
but then I would never have another Mario game. Um, so yeah, I was completely reliant on bargain bins and um renting, pretty
Yeah,
much.
it's like as a kid, my brain didn't work that way, where it was like, oh, the expensive games are the good ones. The expensive games are the popular ones. It was like that never occurred to me. So I always ended up with just random games from pawn shops, from the bargain bin. Uh, Kev, I don't know if this is something you remember or you experienced, but I remember at the PX, like once a year or twice a year, they would set up that gigantic white tent, and everything in it would be like either 50% off or more. And I remember just hunting through the entire thing looking for video games. And it was like rare
So
to find those out there.
yeah, it's one of those. I know what white tent you're talking about,
Yeah.
but me and my family, we never had the patience for it because I mean it would just be the entire damn base would be there.
Oh my
Um,
gosh. Yeah, 100% yes.
yeah, yeah,
Off
and
base people
so
too. My mom would be like, tent sale.
I mean at that even though that you could, yeah, I mean if you got there early and you were quick on your feet and kept your head on a swivel, you could find some great things. But I even as a kid, I had no patience for that. We did some renting as a family. My biggest renting memory was uh, there had been a lull in sort of my Nintendo 64 enjoyment, and so at one point you could rent consoles and a game from the Video City, which I'm sure you're all familiar. And so I rented a PlayStation. You got to rent it for for the weekend, and I
Wow.
rented that Resident Evil and
Ooh.
Tobal number one, and they both just blew my mind away. I mean, I'm talking Sarah Connor and T2 holding on to the chain link fence, excuse me, and just being blown away by the nuclear explosion. It just blew my mind. And I'm like, Mom, you got to see this. You got to see this. And I don't know if you guys remember, but the original Resident Evil, it had a live action intro along with the game itself, right? And it was very Japanese and very low budget if you watch it now, but it was for a kid, it was just the coolest thing, Jill Valentine, Chris Redfield, Albert Wesker, they had all these, and they're just sort of turning, looking at the camera, very 90s. And I just remember being blown away by it. And to this day, I do have a great appreciation for Tobal number one and Tobal number two. I wish Square was more adventurous and willing to take more risk with their IPs nowadays. Those were great games. That being said, I do have one correction. Ogre Battle 64 was by Quest, not Enix, and Quest was bought by Square in the early 2000s. That being said, where I got games. Now, gentlemen, I am a man of culture and I stay well informed, and I always have been. And I stayed well informed because from a very young age, I began reading both GamePro and EGM religiously.
Whoa.
And I remember my first, golly, I know I started EGM when the issue count was in the teens or maybe early 20s. But my very first GamePro, I remember the cover vividly. We can probably find it online. It featured the Americanized Street Fighter II art, and it featured, I believe, Blanca and M. Bison on the cover. Some combination therein. I'll have to go searching for it. But I've always been or I always was an avid reader and consumer of those two publications mainly. Obviously, there are plenty of other quote unquote video game magazines and news magazines that came out, but those two in particular. Um, and so I would always wait and ask for games on Christmas and my birthday
Hmm.
because when I went to the bargain bin, I knew I was like, oh, those games got low scores. Like they weren't the best games. No, okay. Um,
We were the
and
uninformed out there, like, oh man, look at this game's only
Right.
$5, and Kev's
I
like,
wouldn't.
there's a reason it's only $5, guys.
I wouldn't say I was I mean, I was not as informed, obviously, as the subscriber to the gaming magazines. But I mean, I knew they probably weren't good games, but it was all my parents were willing to get me. The same thing, like I didn't always get to rent a video game because renting a video game costs more than renting a movie.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes my
yeah,
parents would just be like, not today, and I'd just be like, oh
yeah.
man. Um,
Did you ever
so
try and
yeah,
put a game in a movie
digging through a
case?
bargain bin, I kind of knew what I was in for, but I just I'd hope to find a gem. But yeah, I wouldn't, and I also I don't think I ever had really any of the gaming magazines. I think if I had to choose between a magazine, I would always go with a Wizard magazine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, and that eventually led to Wizard, as the video game interest, uh, uh, you know, collided with the comic book interest, and uh, and so yeah, I would always wait for birthday or Christmas to ask for my games because I had the magazines. I knew which ones were the best ones, um, and obviously you could only ask for so many. So I'd make a tier list, and so I'd like
Would
list
you
the
give
top
them?
ones.
Would you give them the whole list of like these are number one, these are number two?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I mean, and I never got any of them. Like I never got any of
Yeah,
them.
see, that's what I was gonna say. I'd also ask for. I don't even know an example, but yeah, like a double A or triple A game is what I'd be wanting. The games I would actually see commercials of, or there'd be ads in the comic books of. That's what I'd ask for, and then I'd get just these super whatever instead, and I'd just be like, okay, thank you. Well, I mean,
Yeah,
I like
yeah,
The Simpsons, so I guess we'll give this a shot.
yeah, yeah. No, I'm right there with you. Right there with you. Um, and so, yeah, due to I wouldn't even honestly call it snobbery. It's just I I I I, I felt like I wanted the best, and uh, they obviously the review teams at those two publications I trusted, and so yeah. That being said, yeah, never got them.
You were just
No,
a young
unfortunately.
you were a young gaming intellectual.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. That's a great articulation.
We were just we were the uncultured swine scrounging through the squalor of the bargain bin.
You did
I
did
bet
kind of make me the crossover of talking about Video City and then you talking about renting a console and your just mind being blown. It made me remember Pilot Wings. I don't know if you guys
oh,
ever played Pilot Wings. It was an early SNES game,
heard of it.
and so like when we had our SNES came with, I mean, Super Mario World, but also I want to say ours came with Mario All Stars as well as a bundle, and so like those were the only games I had for many months, and eventually I guess Video City started getting Super Nintendo games, and we rented Pilot Wings, and it sticks out in my mind because there was like a whoa element because it was actually like in 3-dimensional space. It was like, oh my god, this is amazing. But also because my dad was willing to play it. It was one
Oh.
of the few games I ever played with my dad, because he just had almost no interest in video games. And so that one got rented multiple times just because my dad would play it with me. But that, that's something I hadn't thought about in a long time. Pilot Wings.
Yeah, I've seen that on a YouTube video breaking down a list of things. I don't remember the topic, but yeah, I've heard of that game. But yeah, very cool. Um, so we should probably wrap this up. This has been episode 0 of Open World Survival. If you've stuck with us this long, what's wrong with you? Like, what what went wrong in your life that you listened to this for an hour and a half? Like,
I
put
don't.
put that in the comments. Or
I don't think. I don't think
actually,
even my mom would listen to this for this long.
actually, in the comments, share games that you know you loved and appreciated in your youth that were not the big names. Or how did you acquire games? Were you a thief? Did you uh, were you a kid who borrowed? Were you a kid who borrowed and never gave back? But yeah, let us know. I mean, this is episode 0. This might never see the light of day. It's very possible this goes up online at some point and gets 0 views, and we leave it there for posterity's sake. Um, but yeah, leave us a comment. What are games you played as a kid that were special to you, but don't get mentioned with the big names or the greats or anything like that? How'd you acquire games? Um, what's a game that you always remember with rose-colored glasses, even though now you know for sure it's not good? Um, what else do people say at the end of a thing? Uh, I don't want to be someone who goes like, comment, and subscribe. I don't care what you do, okay? I know nobody's
Look,
listening at this point
you
anyway, so.
gotta plug the Patreon. You gotta plug the merch. All right. You gotta thank the sponsor. We gotta list the patrons.
I'm just
Um,
gonna I'm just gonna thank YouTube for hanging out and strolling down memory lane for at this
it was
point
fun.
my
Yeah,
recording's over an hour
this was fun.
40, and yeah, it was just nice to hear about the memories, the nostalgia. It's nice to see where some of our gaming interests sort of crossed paths. I had no idea, Godpile, that you played the same NHL 94 I did, but we played them on different consoles. And
Uh-huh.
you mentioned getting to some games late. I think NHL 94 for the Genesis is a game I picked up at a pawn shop well after 1994. Years after 1994, I think I was playing that. Um, but yeah, KevDirect, Godpile, thanks for hanging out. I'm domognarigato. Maybe I'll put links into the description of like KevDirect's on Twitch at KevDirect, right? And on YouTube, you post clips also at KevDirect, I believe. Um, Me too. My Twitch streaming has been very inconsistent, but yeah, on Twitch, domognarigato. There's links on there to other things as well, and on YouTube, also at domognarigato. Um, Godpile, if we can ever bully you into streaming, we can plug you at
Get
this
there.
section at this point as well. So, yeah, thanks for hanging out.
I'm you can find me on Rocket League in tiers at any given time.
That's a conversation for another day. A game you keep going back to, even though it brings you nothing but pain. I'm gonna write that down. We'll get to that sometime.
Episode 1. Here we go. All right.
Oh man.